Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're decoding the absolutely massive macroeconomic shifts of 2026. My goal here is to get you completely past the buzzwords, ignore the hype headlines, and connect these gigantic global changes directly to on-the-ground practical wealth-building strategies. We are literally looking at a fundamental rewiring of the global labor market. But more importantly, we're going to talk about how you can actually navigate it to your absolute advantage.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to start with the global economic shockwaves and zoom all the way down to individual execution strategies. We've got 6 key areas on the docket today. 1. The Great Decoupling. 2. The rise of agentic AI. 3. Vertical over horizontal AI. 4. The micro SaaS blueprint. 5. The millionaire growth loops. And finally, 6. Navigating the new economy. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. The Great Decoupling. A macro shock. So, to understand where we're headed, we first have to wrap our heads around the massive macro shock of 2026. Basically, according to recent economic analysis, we're living through an era where artificial intelligence has successfully decoupled economic growth from human headcount. For the very first time, companies are seeing these huge productivity and revenue spikes without actually needing to hire more people. Let's look at the raw numbers here. According to projections from the International Labor Organization and the World Economic Forum, an estimated 85 million routine, cognitive jobs are expected to be displaced by AI automation. And to be clear, this isn't just physical labor. We're talking about cognitive, white-collar work, data processing, evaluative judgments, routine analysis, the whole shebang.
But here is exactly where the story shifts. While 85 million jobs are being displaced, a staggering 97 million new jobs are simultaneously being created in that exact same time frame. So we're not just losing work, we are transitioning to entirely new forms of it. When you do the math, that results in a net gain of 12 million jobs globally. Sounds great, right? Well, there's a catch. It's what economists are calling the skills paradox. Right now, 94% of organizational leaders report having a 20% overcapacity in legacy roles, but at the exact same time, they're facing severe, frankly crippling shortages for AI-critical skills. The jobs are out there, for sure, but the workforce just isn't aligned with them yet. And the data brilliantly illustrates what high-level reports are calling the second great divergence. It's this rapidly widening gap in national AI innovation between the early adopters and, well, everyone else. Nations are treating this as sovereign AI. Over in the US, you have them leveraging compute diplomacy through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act to totally dominate data center infrastructure. Meanwhile, the European Union is laser-focused on trustworthy, responsible AI regulation through the EU AI Act. And then you have emerging markets like India launching the India AI Mission to upskill 490 million informal workers. It's literally a fascinating geopolitical chess game playing out in real time.
Now, you might be wondering, what does this macro shift actually mean for you? Well, it translates to an unbelievable 56% wage premium for AI literacy. If you know how to direct these systems, your personal value skyrockets. But there's a really stark warning hidden in the data. Because this kind of productivity is so incredibly capital intensive, global wealth inequality could widen by over 7 percentage points. The stakes for understanding this technology have, quite frankly, never been higher.
Section 2. Rise of agentic AI, from co-pilots to autonomous agents. Now, what's really interesting about this shift is the technological evolution driving these crazy numbers. We've moved way past the basic generative text chatbots of 2023. Welcome to the era of agentic AI. The fundamental difference now is how we interact with the software itself. Think about the old model, the co-pilot. It kind of just sat next to you, waited patiently for your prompt, and assisted with a task. The 2026 model? That's the autonomous agent. It doesn't wait around for a prompt. It observes an environment, makes a comprehensive plan, and then performs actions completely independently to achieve a goal. You go from being the creator doing the work to basically being a manager of digital workers. Let's ground this concept in reality, specifically looking at the healthcare sector. Leading places like the Mayo Clinic are right now deploying autonomous medical scribes. These AI agents actually observe patient consultations using ambient listening. They integrate directly into electronic health records, and they produce clinical notes with 98% accuracy. This isn't some theoretical sci-fi concept. It's running end-to-end workflows today, dramatically reducing all that after-hours charting for doctors.
Section 3. Vertical over horizontal AI. So as these AI agents become more and more autonomous, the most lucrative business models are totally shifting. The market is basically splitting right down the middle into horizontal and vertical AI. Horizontal AI tries to be everything to everyone. It writes generic emails, answers broad questions, and because it's so easily replaceable, it just ends up competing on price. Vertical AI, on the flip side, has a deep, deep industry focus. It embeds itself into highly specific business workflows. And because it solves such specialized, complex problems, it commands premium pricing and is incredibly hard to replace.
This quote from the research hit the nail on the head. The true value of AI does not lie in all-knowing chatbots, but in industry-specific tasks. Think about a personal injury law firm, for instance. They don't need a generic chatbot. They need a vertical AI that can read unstructured PDF documents, pull out case-specific technical info, apply complex legal evaluation rules, and automatically generate quotes. When a firm uses an AI agent to slash response times from 2 days down to 2 hours, man, they are happy to pay for that measurable outcome. That is exactly where the value is.
Section 4. The Micro SaaS Blueprint. Let's move to the next part and see how this builds. So how are everyday people, not just massive tech conglomerates, actually capitalizing on this huge shift toward vertical AI? They're using what's called the Micro SaaS Blueprint. Micro SaaS stands for Micro Software as a Service. These are small, hyper-focused software products designed to solve one absolutely massive pain point for a very specific niche audience. Because the overhead is so low, solo founders or tiny teams of maybe 2 or 3 people are building these lean models and hitting anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And they're doing it without ever needing to raise millions of dollars in venture capital.
Let's rapid fire through some of the top business ideas completely dominating this space in 2026. First, AI bookkeeping. It autonomously reconciles accounts for small businesses, totally killing manual receipt tracking. Then you have synthetic influencers. These are AI-generated personalities for brands that are just exhausted by costly, unpredictable human influencers who might, get canceled on a random Tuesday. Or how about voice-to-code platforms? These let non-technical founders literally speak their software into existence. They all share one thing. They target repetitive tasks that people despise doing within underserved niches, all for a nice, steady monthly fee.
And listen, this is completely accessible. Just look at these real American case studies. Sarah completely automated a print-on-demand store with AI to hit $250K in just 6 months. John built a $500K content agency using AI to drastically amplify his own productivity. Lisa took $50K and turned it into $300K using predictive AI trading. And Mark, he scaled a no-code AI software product to a cool $1 million in annual recurring revenue. In every single one of these cases, AI acts as a massive business multiplier. It allows a single dedicated person to compete with and do the work of an entire traditional agency.
Section 5. The Millionaire Growth Loops.
Now, having a great idea is one thing, but it isn't enough. How are these founders actually building and sustaining their wealth? Well, they don't think in straight lines. They think in loops. There are 4 distinct growth loops here. It all starts with the balance loop. As a founder, you're basically walking a tightrope between 2 opposing forces. Your unique asymmetric advantage, which might be a decade of experience in some boring legacy industry, and the acute, frequent pain of your customer. If you lean too far into your advantage without actually solving a real pain, you build something nobody needs. But if you just chase the pain without any advantage, you get crushed by the competition. You have to constantly test your assumptions to stay balanced.
So the crucial point here is how you adapt to reality, which brings us to the signal to innovation loop. The story of YouTube versus Quibi perfectly illustrates this. Both platforms had the exact same basic idea, short videos on your phone. But Quibi launched with this rigid, fixed idea of how people should watch, defended that format to the bitter end, and completely burned through $1.7 billion in mere months. YouTube, on the other hand, treats every micro-behavior, a click, a pause, a skipped thumbnail,
as a vital signal. They feed that into an AI loop to learn instantly. Addicting yourself to customer signals like that, it's literally your only true shield against being cloned by competitors. The final pieces of the puzzle are the speed to revenue and sweat equity loops. Take the AI coding platform Cursor, for example. They hit $100 million in revenue in just 18 months. How? By shipping features daily and completely ditching that archaic 18-month software roadmap. They even dog-fooded their own product, meaning they used Cursor to build Cursor. And here is the absolute ultimate truth for 2026 founders. That old myth telling you to delegate and disappear is dead. You have to sweat every single detail. You have to stay in the trenches because the ground underneath you is shifting every single week.
Section 6. Navigating the New Economy.
Okay, we've covered a massive amount of ground today. From the shifting tectonic plates of the global macroeconomic data, all the way down to the nitty-gritty daily tactics of successful microsauce founders. But I want to leave you with this final, genuinely powerful philosophical thought from our source material. You might run these loops, stumble and fall. But falling isn't failing, it's exactly how you gain wisdom. And, as the data clearly shows, wealth without wisdom simply won't last in an era moving this incredibly fast. So as you look at the 2026 AI economy and figure out your place in it, the real question isn't just what you're building, it's who are you becoming as you build it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.